Well, welcome to this week's Time Out Tuesday. Since it is St. Patrick's Day, actually, today, I thought I would investigate about this man, St. Patrick, and share what I could find out about him, his life, and his mission. Now, the Irish people are quite known for their traditions and their folklore. And so I did investigate many sources to try to assure that what I was sharing with you is indeed historically factual. But we will see through his life that even when our life does not go as expected, it can be used by God in a great way if we are willing to walk in obedience. So St. Patrick was actually born Maewyn Succat in the year 387 to a very wealthy family in Kilpatrick, Scotland. Although his father was a deacon of the church, it was more an economical decision. It was a job that he had taken, and his family was not particularly religious. Patrick himself is not actually a canonized saint according to Catholic tradition, only because that process was not in existence until well after Patrick's death. That being said, his life was full of surprises, and his choices did lead to thousands to hear of and turn their lives over to Christ. So at the age of 16, Patrick was kidnapped from his home by a group of Irish raiders and taken to Ireland, where he was sold to be a slave and a shepherd. Now, this is where his life took a dramatic change and his relationship with God grew intimately. He was frightened and he was alone, and he began to pray continually. He did learn the religious rituals and customs and language of the Irish people, most of which were of a pagan origin. But after living there for between 4 to 6 years, Patrick had a dream in which God told him, "Your ship is ready." So he did escape, and he walked on for days till he got to the shore, and he boarded a ship, which indeed returned him to his home. No one was more surprised to see him than his family. His parents thought for sure they would never, ever see him again. And so Patrick resumed his life with his family. And shortly after, he had another dream in which he opened a letter and heard the voices of the Irish people calling to him to return to them. Well, he stayed in his hometown for a bit more and trained for the priesthood. And then, indeed, much to his parents' confusion, he did choose to return to Ireland to tell the people there about Christ. Although the task was quite difficult and still very dangerous, Patrick took symbols that the people were familiar with to teach them about the one true God. The one symbol was the shamrock, and he used that to teach the people about the Trinity. The other was the Celtic cross. Now, Patrick, I'm reading kind of two ways on this one, but Patrick supposedly took a cross and put the pagan symbol for the sun over the cross, and this is how the Celtic cross was designed. But what is important is, by using symbols that the people were familiar with, Patrick drew the people in to listen to him, and then he told them about Christ. Because of his love for the people where he had been brought against his will, Patrick chose to return to them and teach them about the love of God and the sacrifice of Jesus for them. Patrick stayed in Ireland for 30 years, and he died on March 17th, 461. It is believed that over 135,000 people were converted by Patrick. He established 300 churches and consecrated 350 bishops to continue his work. Now, today in the United States, what started out as a religious holiday has become a secular celebration of all things Irish. While the wearing of the green is a fun celebration, it is good to remember that over 1,600 years ago, a young man took an unfortunate occurrence in his life and dedicated his life to proclaiming the gospel to the country of his captors. And that, my friends, is this week's Time Out Tuesday. I do hope to see you all next week. God bless you all.